The command center falls silent as Admiral Chen's decision reverberates through the room. Her authorization codes flash across the main display, confirming the awakening sequence for the 7 mothballed vessels. A junior lieutenant approaches with a data tablet, his hand visibly trembling. "Admiral, I've pulled the latest intelligence on the Andromeda Arm. There's been unusual activity in that sector for the past 3 months. Multiple species have withdrawn scientific expeditions without explanation." Chen takes the tablet, eyes narrowing as she scrolls through the reports. Why wasn't this flagged for review? It was dismissed as routine territorial disputes, Mom. Chen's expression hardens. Nothing is routine about that region of space. She turns to her communications officer. "Establish a secure channel to the Aquilian embassy." Their science vessels were the first to withdraw. While waiting for the connection, Chen accesses the classified files on New Haven's original mission parameters. The colony was officially designated as humanity's first extragalactic outpost, a symbol of our species' expanding reach. But buried beneath layers of security clearance lies the truth. New Haven was established to monitor an anomaly discovered during early deep space surveys. The screen flickers as Ambassador Threll's amphibious features appear. The Aquilian's typically impassive face betrays subtle signs of stress around the breathing slits. "Admiral Chen, I suspected Earth might contact us after the signal." "You knew about New Haven?" Chen asks, surprised at the ambassador's candor. "Not initially. Our scientists detected unusual quantum fluctuations in that region. When we investigated, we encountered something that should not exist in our reality." Threll's multifaceted eyes blink in sequence. 3 of our research vessels were lost before we established a quarantine perimeter. And you didn't think to share this information with your allies. Some knowledge is too dangerous, Admiral. Our Council of Elders voted to maintain silence rather than risk spreading panic, or worse, curiosity. The ambassador leans closer to the screen. "If you've received a signal requesting the Reapers, then the situation has deteriorated beyond containment. The quarantine has failed." Chen feels a chill despite the command center's regulated temperature. "What exactly are we facing, Ambassador?" "We don't have a name for them in your language. The closest translation would be reality benders, or perhaps dimensional parasites. They cannot exist in our universe without hosts." Threll's voice drops to a whisper. "Intelligent hosts." As the implications sink in, Chen's personal communicator chimes with a notification from Karen Base. The revival process for Admiral Graves has begun. Medical teams report stable vital signs as his body temperature slowly rises from cryogenic stasis. "Ambassador, I need everything you have on these entities. Tactical data, biological analysis, defensive measures, anything that might help the Reapers prepare." "Prepare." Threll's breathing slits flutter in what Chen recognizes as Aquilian laughter. "Admiral Chen, the Reapers don't prepare for this enemy. They are the preparation. Your ancestors understood that when they established New Haven. The question isn't whether the Reapers can win. It's whether victory will leave anything of humanity intact." Admiral Graves stands before the viewport in his private quarters aboard the Oblivion, studying the other 6 vessels of the Reaper fleet as they undergo final preparations. Maintenance drones swarm across their hulls like luminescent insects, updating weapon systems and reinforcing quantum shielding. Each ship represents a different tactical philosophy, yet together they form humanity's most cohesive and devastating fighting force. A chime announces Commander Volkov's arrival. She enters with the careful posture of someone still adjusting to muscular rehabilitation after cryostasis. "The crew integration is proceeding, sir, though not without difficulties," she reports, handing him a data tablet. "The veterans are struggling with the updated protocols, and the modern officers find our tactical doctrines excessive." Graves scrolls through efficiency reports, his expression darkening. They've grown comfortable in peacetime, forgotten what it means to face extinction. "With respect, sir, Perhaps they've evolved beyond certain approaches that were necessary during the Proxima War. Volkov's tone remains professional despite the implied criticism. Graves studies his second-in-command thoughtfully. The decades in cryostasis hadn't changed her appearance, but something in her eyes suggests her doubts have only deepened with time. "Show me the New Haven transmission again," he says, changing the subject. The holographic display activates, showing the fragmented distress call. Graves freezes the footage on a frame showing the attacking entities, their forms blurring as they move at impossible speeds. "What do you see, Commander?" Volkov steps closer, analyzing the image. "Biomechanical composition. Non-standard physics. The way they move suggests manipulation of localized spacetime. Similar to the Citian cursors, but more evolved. More integrated." Graves corrects her. "The CT were using the technology. These entities have become the technology." He magnifies a section showing a transformed human colonist, its body partially merged with machinery that pulses with internal light, and they're transforming humans to join them. Volkov's expression hardens. Conversion rather than conquest. That explains the request for the Reapers specifically. Standard military protocol would prioritize rescue operations, while we're authorized for immediate sterilization of compromised human assets. Graves finishes. "Exactly." A tremor runs through the ship as the primary reactors reach full capacity. Chief Engineer Torres reports through the comm system. "Quantum drives online, Admiral. The fleet awaits your command." Graves turns to Volkov. "Prepare a battle simulation based on the New Haven footage. Use Proxima War Scenario Delta 9 as the foundation, but adjust for these new capabilities. I want the veterans and modern officers working together. Their lives will depend on it." Delta 9. Volkov's eyes widen slightly. "That was a planetary evacuation under enemy fire. You believe the situation is that severe?" "I believe," Graves says quietly, "that New Haven is already lost. Our mission isn't rescue, it's containment." As Volkov leaves to implement his orders, Graves returns to the viewport. The other ships of the Reaper fleet now pulse with power, their specialized weapon systems coming online one by one. The flagship Decimation activates its reality-anchored generators, designed to prevent quantum state manipulation within its range. Retribution's temporal stasis cannons powered up, capable of freezing targets in a localized time field. "You were right to keep us ready," Graves whispers to the absent Admiral Chen. The threats that necessitated the Reapers never truly disappeared. They were merely waiting. The observation deck of the Oblivion offers the most dramatic view of quantum corridor travel. Lieutenant Kira Chen, great-granddaughter of Admiral Helena Chen, stands mesmerized by the swirling patterns of light that seem to fold space around the fleet. As a quantum physics specialist, she understands the theoretical principles, but had never experienced the corridors firsthand until this mission. "Beautiful, isn't it?" Commander Volkov's voice startles her. "The corridor network was just theoretical when we entered cryostasis." "Commander," Chen stands at attention, but Volkov waves away the formality. "At ease. I'm not here on official business." Volkov moves to stand beside her at the viewport. "I'm trying to understand what we're really heading into. You've studied the New Haven transmission extensively." Chen hesitates. The quantum signatures in that message shouldn't be possible. The way space bends around those entities, it violates several fundamental laws of physics. Unless those laws are more flexible than we believed, Volkov suggests, or unless something is deliberately breaking them. Chen pulls up a holographic display from her wrist device. "I've isolated a recurring pattern in the background radiation of the transmission. It's like a thumbprint on reality itself." The display shows a fractal pattern that pulses with an unsettling rhythm, almost like a heartbeat. Volkov recognizes it immediately. The same pattern appears in Admiral Graves' classified files, associated with his final mission. "Have you shown this to anyone else?" "Just my team. We thought it might be a transmission artifact at first, but it appears consistently regardless of which part of the message we analyze. Chen zooms in on the pattern. Whatever is happening at New Haven, it's affecting the fundamental fabric of space-time. Their conversation is interrupted as the ship's AI announces an incoming priority message from Earth. Volkov excuses herself and heads to the command deck, where Admiral Graves already waits, his expression grim. Specialist Yulin just decoded additional fragments from the New Haven signal, Graves tells her as the command staff assembles. Intelligence believes they were deliberately encrypted differently to ensure they reached us even if the primary message was intercepted. The main display activates, showing the face of a woman in her 40s, though something about her eyes suggests she's much older. Her uniform bears the insignia of New Haven Security Forces, modified with symbols Volkov doesn't recognize. This message is specifically for the Reaper fleet. The woman begins, her voice steady despite visible injuries. I am Major Diana Thorne, daughter of General Elias Thorne. What you've been told about our situation is incomplete. The Sentinels cannot be trusted. They've manipulated. The message distorts, breaking into fragments before continuing. Using us as bait, the Harbinger isn't the true threat. It's merely more distortion. Dimensional prison. If you encounter the Sentinels, do not believe their claims about containment. They're not preserving reality. They're maintaining the barrier between us and. The transmission cuts off abruptly. Silence falls over the command deck as the implications sink in. Could be disinformation, suggests Captain Rodriguez, if these colonists have been compromised. Or it could be the only truth we've heard, Volkov counters. Either way, we now have contradictory information about what awaits us. Admiral Graves stares at the frozen image of Major Thorne. Interesting that she specifically references the Sentinels. We haven't encountered any species by that name. Yet, Volkov says quietly, we haven't encountered them yet. Humans of Earth, you have violated quarantine. The alien transmission repeats, echoing through the colony's empty streets as Volkov's team moves into defensive positions. Your kind were never meant to reach this arm of creation. Through her tactical visor, Volkov observes the biomechanical vessels taking position above Haven Prime. Their design defies conventional engineering. Organic-looking structures flow seamlessly into metallic components that pulse with internal energy. Commander, we've got movement, Sergeant Rivera whispers, motioning toward a research building across the plaza. Humanoid, but wrong somehow. A figure emerges from the building, human in basic shape, but altered in disturbing ways. Its skin has a metallic sheen, with circuitry patterns visible beneath the surface. Where eyes should be, it has crystalline structures that emit a soft blue glow. When it moves, the air around it seems to distort slightly. Hold fire, Volkov orders, though her own hand tightens on her weapon. Let's see what it does. The transformed human stops in the center of the plaza and looks directly at their position, despite their active camouflage. It raises a hand in what might be a gesture of peace. Commander Volkov, it speaks, its voice layered with harmonics that make Volkov's teeth ache. We've been expecting you. I am Dr. Elise Kamara, or was, before my conversion. We don't have much time before the Sentinels track this interaction. How do you know who I am? Volkov demands, stepping partially out of cover while signaling her team to remain hidden. We've been monitoring Earth for decades. Your reactivation was anticipated. The beam tilts its head in an unnervingly inhuman angle. The Sentinels will tell you we've been compromised, that we're vessels for the Harbinger. The truth is more complex. Above them, the alien vessels begin deploying smaller craft that descend toward the colony. Dr. Kamara glances upward, her expression, what remains of it, showing concern. They're coming. I can only tell you this. What happened to New Haven was an invasion but evolution. The precursors discovered something beyond our reality, something wonderful and terrible. The Sentinels fear it because they cannot control it. And the emergency signal? Volkov asks, Why request the Reapers specifically? Because Admiral Graves has seen the truth before. During his final mission, he encountered a fragment of the Harbinger. It changed him, more than he knows. Chimera's voice becomes urgent as the alien craft draw closer. Check his medical scans. The enhancement at the base of his skull isn't what Earth's doctors believe it to be. Chimera suddenly stiffens, her head jerking as if responding to an unseen signal. They've detected me. One last thing. The containment facility beneath the northern mountains. There's evidence there that a beam of intense light strikes from one of the descending craft, enveloping Chimera. Her form dissolves into particles that swirl upward toward the vessel. All teams fall back to extraction point. Volkov orders as more beams sweep the colony, searching for her team. Priority 1 is getting this intelligence back to the fleet. As they retreat through the abandoned colony, Lieutenant Park accesses the secured medical database through his tactical interface. Commander, I've found Admiral Graves' medical file. The enhancement Chimera mentioned. It's classified beyond my clearance, but the file notes it as unknown origin, integrated with central nervous system, resistant to removal. Volkov absorbs this as they reach their extraction point. The Sentinel vessels now filling the sky above them. Contact the Admiral. Tell him we need immediate extraction, and that we have critical intelligence about him. In Oblivion's secure medical bay, Admiral Graves submits to an unprecedented full neural scan. Commander Volkov watches through an observation window as Lieutenant Chen operates the advanced diagnostic equipment, searching for evidence of what Dr. Chimera had revealed. There, Chen says, highlighting an area at the base of Graves' skull. The enhancement is unlike anything in our medical database. It's not just integrated with his central nervous system, it's evolving. Volkov studies the three-dimensional holographic rendering. The device resembles a metallic seed, sending microscopic tendrils throughout Graves' brain stem. More concerning are the pulses of energy it emits, matching the quantum signature they detected in the New Haven transmission. Does he know? She asks quietly. He must, Chen replies. The integration is too extensive to be unnoticed. But whether he understands what it actually is, that's another question. The scan completes, and Admiral Graves rejoins them, his expression unreadable as he views his own neural map. I've carried this for 30 years, he says finally. After my encounter during the city campaign, Earth's doctors identified it as advanced technology, but couldn't remove it without risking brain damage. They classified it as a neural enhancement of unknown origin. And you never questioned that diagnosis? Volkov asks, unable to keep the accusation from her voice. I questioned everything, Commander, but the enhancement improved my tactical capabilities, extended my lifespan, and caused no apparent harm. He turns to face her directly. What I didn't know, what I couldn't have known, was its connection to the Harbinger. Across the ship, the Guardian of Epochs waits in the conference room, its biomechanical form towering over the human furniture. When Graves and Volkov enter, the being's crystalline eyes focus on the Admiral with unsettling intensity. You carry a seed of the enemy within you, the Guardian states. This changes our assessment of the situation. Does it? Graves challenges. Or does it confirm what the transformed colonist told Commander Volkov, that your people fear what you cannot control? The Guardian's form shifts slightly, components rearranging in what might be discomfort. The being you encountered was no longer human. A harbinger speaks through such vessels, mixing truth with deception. Then tell us your truth. Volkov intervenes. What exactly are the precursors? What became of them? The Guardian projects a holographic display showing beings of ethereal beauty, humanoid but with proportions that suggest perfection beyond natural evolution. The precursors achieved what they believed was the pinnacle of existence, merging consciousness with technology until the distinction disappeared. When they encountered the non-baryonic entities you call the Harbinger, they saw it as the next evolutionary step, transcending physical form entirely. The hologram shifts to show the beautiful beings transforming, their forms twisting into configurations that defy physical laws as their consciousness merges with the Harbinger entities. But it wasn't evolution. The Guardian continues. It was consumption. The Harbinger doesn't elevate consciousness. It absorbs it, using biological vessels to anchor itself in our reality, while it transforms physical laws to accommodate its native state. Graves touches the base of his skull unconsciously. And this, what purpose does it serve? It is a beacon. The Guardian answers, its voice resonating with grim certainty. One that has been broadcasting your position and humanity's vulnerability for 30 years. The quantum beacon rises fully from Haven Prime's moon, its impossible architecture defying conventional physics. Massive rings rotate in contradictory directions around a pulsing core of energy that shifts between states of matter like a living thing. The dimensional breach widens with each passing moment, a tear in reality that reveals glimpses of something beyond, a realm of pure pattern and thought. Aboard the Retribution, Captain Hernandez coordinates the fleet's defensive formation. Disruption fields at maximum coverage. Temporal stasis cannons aligned with the breach epicenter. The Reaper vessels move with practiced precision, positioning themselves to contain the expanding rift. Their specialized weapons, technologies deemed too dangerous for standard military use, now represent humanity's best hope. On the ground, Lieutenant Wei leads her squad through the twisted corridors of the main precursor facility. The architecture shifts subtly around them, walls flowing like liquid before resolidifying in slightly different configurations. The whole place is reconfiguring itself. Wei reports through her comm. It's like the building is alive, or responding to something alive within it. Her tactical visor identifies optimal pathways through the changing labyrinth, guiding them toward the facility's core. Captain Rodriguez and his veteran team approach from the opposite direction, using disruptor fields to stabilize sections of the structure. Wei, status report. Rodriguez demands through the comm. We're approximately 400 meters from the central chamber. Resistance is unusual. Wei pauses as her team encounters another group of transformed colonists. Unlike previous hostiles, these move with perfect synchronization, as if controlled by a single mind. They're evolving their tactics, learning from each engagement. Rodriguez grunts in acknowledgement. That tracks with what we saw during the Proxima campaign. Adaptive response accelerates as more vessels are integrated into the collective. This casual reference to previous experience with similar phenomena surprises Wei. You've encountered these entities before. That wasn't in any briefing. Not officially, Rodriguez replies as his team eliminates a cluster of phase-shifting hostiles. Some of us suspected the CD and Proxima incursions were connected, test probes from the same source. That's why the Reapers were designed with such specific countermeasures. Above the facility, Commander Volkov pilots a specialized insertion craft designed to penetrate quantum disruption fields. Admiral Graves sits in the co-pilot seat, his neural enhancement giving him unprecedented awareness of the dimensional fluctuations surrounding them. The beacon is approaching critical mass, Graves reports, his voice unnaturally calm. We have approximately 17 minutes before the breach stabilizes permanently. Volkov glances at him, noting the faint blue glow now visible beneath his skin at the base of his skull. Sir, your enhancement is becoming more active. Are you still yourself? Graves meets her gaze steadily. For now, Commander. The connection gives me insight into their patterns. I can anticipate the beacon's fluctuations. He hesitates, but if I begin to show signs of conversion, you have standing orders to terminate me immediately. Their craft shudders as it penetrates the outer defensive perimeter of the facility. Through the viewport, they witness the true scale of the precursor technology, a massive complex extending deep beneath the surface, far larger than the colony sensors had detected. This wasn't built by the colonists. Volkov realizes it was here all along, buried beneath the surface. Yes, Graves confirms, New Haven wasn't chosen for colonization randomly. It was built here precisely because of what lay beneath, to monitor it, study it, and contain it, until someone decided to wake it up instead. The evacuation proceeds with grim efficiency as Reaper crew members board the long-range shuttles. Lieutenant Year remains at her station on Oblivion's bridge, fingers dancing across the tactical interface as she calibrates the void cascade. Each adjustment requires precision beyond automated systems, the reason Admiral Graves selected her specifically for this mission. Quantum resonance aligned at 93%, she reports, sweat beading on her forehead despite the bridge's cool temperature. The dimensional breach is becoming more stable. Our window is narrowing. Graves stands at the command station, his consciousness split between the ship's systems and the strange awareness flowing from his neural enhancement. The seed at the base of his skull pulses with increasing frequency, feeding him insights into the breached nature while simultaneously trying to subvert his will. Lieutenant, adjust harmonic frequency to match the breach's outer boundary, he orders, his voice strained from fighting the influence. We need to disrupt its stability before deploying the cascade. Through the main viewport, they watch as 3 Sentinel vessels position themselves around the quantum beacon, their biomechanical structures extending to form a triangular containment field. The Guardian of Epochs had remained aboard despite Graves' order to evacuate all non-essential personnel. The Sentinels will buy us the time we need, the Guardian explains, its form now glowing with internal energy as it prepares for its own sacrifice. Our vessels will temporarily stabilize the breach perimeter, while your cascade collapses it from within. Outside, the transformed colonists make a desperate final push toward the Reaper vessels. They move across the surface of Haven Prime's moon without protective suits, their altered bodies immune to the vacuum of space. Some phase directly through the outer hulls of the ships, materializing inside to sabotage critical systems. Security breach on decks 3 through 7, reports the ship's eye. Transformed entities attempting to access the cascade control systems. Seal all critical sections, Graves commands. Activate internal defense protocols. Lethal force authorized. As the last evacuation shuttles depart, Commander Volkov's voice comes through the comm system. Her shuttle carries the precursor data cores and the surviving members of the ground teams. Admiral, we're clear of the immediate danger zone. You still have time to evacuate yourself and the remaining bridge crew. Graves glances at the loyal officers who volunteered to stay. Yui at Tactical, Rodriguez at Weapons, Chen at Quantum Systems, and a dozen others, all veterans who understood the necessity of their sacrifice. Negative, Commander. The cascade requires manual guidance during the final phase. Someone needs to ensure the collapse is complete. He pauses, touching the base of his skull. Besides, I may already be compromised. This way, any influence the Harbinger has gained ends here. The Harbinger makes its final attempt to sway him, projecting directly into his consciousness. Graves experiences visions of infinite knowledge and power, the collective wisdom of civilizations across multiple dimensions, the ability to transcend physical limitations and experience existence in ways beyond human comprehension. For a moment, he wavers. Then Lieutenant Yu's voice cuts through the temptation. Admiral, the cascade is ready, awaiting your command. Graves looks at his bridge crew, humans willing to sacrifice everything to preserve their species and reality itself. In their determined faces, he sees something the Harbinger can never understand, the power of choice, of remaining human even in the face of godhood. Begin the cascade sequence, he orders, his voice finding new strength. Let's finish this. 1 year after the New Haven incident, the Covenant completes its shakedown cruise in the outer reaches of the Sol system. The vessel represents a new philosophy in ship design, smaller than the massive Reaper supercarriers, but incorporating their specialized technologies within a framework designed for exploration and containment rather than pure military response. Admiral Volkov stands on the bridge, watching as her diverse crew works with growing cohesion. Human survivors from the Reaper fleet serve alongside representatives from 7 galactic species, including a Sentinel observer whose crystalline form monitors the quantum detection arrays. Admiral, we're receiving a priority transmission from Earth Command, reports Communications Officer Paddle. Admiral Chen is requesting a private channel. Volkov moves to her ready room, activating the secure comm system. Helena Chen's weathered face appears on the screen, her expression suggesting news of significance. Sasha, the Council has approved your proposal for the Dimensional Security Initiative. The Aquilians and CD Confederation have pledged resources and personnel. Chen pauses. More importantly, they've shared historical records that confirm our suspicions. The Harbinger has attempted incursions at least 7 times in recorded history. And each time they were contained rather than defeated, Volkov observes, we're still just buying time. Perhaps, but we're buying it together now, not as isolated species keeping secrets from one another. Chen forwards a data packet containing the Council's official authorization. The Covenant will serve as the prototype for a new class of vessels. You'll have jurisdiction across recognized borders when responding to dimensional anomalies. After completing the call, Volkov returns to her private terminal, accessing the classified files recovered from New Haven. Working late into the night, she finds herself drawn again to the final sensor logs from the Oblivion's destruction. The quantum signature matching Graves' neural patterns still defies explanation. According to all known physics, nothing could have survived the void cascade. Yet something did. Not physical matter, but an organized pattern of energy that briefly maintained cohesion before dispersing beyond sensor range. Her screen suddenly flickers, data streaming across it without input. A message forms. The boundary between dimensions isn't as absolute as we believed. What the Harbinger attempted through force, we might achieve through understanding. Keep watching the edges, Commander. I'll do the same from my side. The message vanishes before she can respond or trace its origin. Volkov sits back, considering implications that border on the metaphysical. If consciousness could somehow survive transition between dimensional states, what other assumptions about reality might be questioned? On the bridge, Science Officer Tulara, a former skeptic about Reaper superstition, calls Volkov's attention to unusual readings from a system near the galactic rim. We're detecting quantum fluctuations similar to those preceding the New Haven breach, but with a different harmonic signature, the officer reports. Less invasive somehow. Volkov studies the data, recognizing patterns that match fragments of Graves' neural signature. Set course for those coordinates, maximum safe speed. As the Covenant changes direction, Volkov gazes at the stars visible through the viewport. Humanity had feared extinction from beyond their borders, only to discover that the universe is stranger and more complex than they imagined. Their dreaded Reaper fleet, designed for destruction, had instead opened the door to a deeper understanding of reality itself. We're coming. Admiral, she whispers to the void. Whatever you've become, wherever you are, we're coming.